Back in high school, I had a friend that just really eked out over feet. And we tried to figure out, she'd say, I know a fetish is when you're obsessed with something, but what is it when you're obsessed with not something? And so we called it a non-foot fetish. So talking feet today, talking about barefoot, which is a term referring to not just actually being barefoot, but a more minimalist take and imploring just what you're naturally meant to do within the feet. Here today with Living Real with Larissa. All right, if you've been here for long, a couple years ago, I started on my own, what I'm going to call the Barefoot Movement, and within my body. And if you just take a minute and you go back to my other post, I did a great description of where I started and where I'm going. Now, it's been a couple of years that I've been able to amass shoes. I love shoes. I always have loved shoes. So that's the crazy part is for 40 plus years, I would put my feet in conventional shoes, and I literally tend to gravitate towards the ones that were more, less form, more function. I love styles though, and I love mixing it up. So that's not a new thing. But here's a quick recap of what I've talked about previous posts before. And I have links to those within this post here, as well as my life updates, different things going on. I was on a path of focusing on healing myself a couple years ago, back in 2022. And I wanted to do better by me. I wasn't taking care of me. I've had lots of discussions of why. But in that time, when I was starting to get back to my running, lifting, and I've always been focused on diet, but just wasn't taking time to do those other things. And it was adding up, body's slowing down and getting older and a lot of stress. But in that time, I kept having issues with my knees, but all my life has been my lower back would ache. Let's say I went and stood at a football game or something. Lower back would ache or so on, just different things going on. And it got me into researching, for my knees and my legs and such. And we're an active family. My kids, like I've mentioned before, play tennis and other sports. They run a lot. They run for track. They run 5Ks and do very well. And so we're an active family. I like to do that kind of thing. And it's important to me to take care of my health as I grow. And I try to glean from those around me. And I hear a lot of people that are aging, and my knees need replaced, my hip need replaced. So that, how can I avoid that? How can I do better? And I went into researching about my knees, and I found, again, long story short, because I've talked about it before, that my shoes were causing my issues. I don't even think I have a conventional shoe to share with you actually to explain, but let's say you take a typical running shoe and you've got these brands that are coming out with these bigger and bigger cushions and so on and so forth. And what that does is that throws off your whole line from the bottom up, your whole chain going all the way up into your neck and to your jaw. And you think about it, if you're standing on a wedge, you're going to shorten your Achilles on the back, right? And that's going to cause issues. And then you're also landing with your heel versus your soft heel through your midfoot. And again, when you're running, you're hitting with your heels instead of up on your toes when you're sprinting. There's all these facets that make an integral part of just this whole wonderful, fascinating thing. And the way I look at it is, would I put my hand every day in a glove that would misform it, pinch it, like a lot of shoes do, pointy toes, right? And would I do that and restrict? Would I want to wear mittens? No. And so, bear with me, my feet, I want to be able to splay these boogers. I want to be able to stretch and be able to freeform move them. When babies come out of the womb, you see that's amazing they can do with their feet, and then we lose that. And it's not because we start walking, it's because we cram them into things. So I want to discuss just some update things that I've learned in the last time since I've talked to you, show you some of my fun things back here that I'm learning, and just some tips and encourage you where you can start, where you'd like to be. All right, one of the things that I first implemented when I was starting was if you look at my past photos, I had I'll say a flabby foot. It wasn't very structured, very muscular, and I didn't know it, right? Not until I do exercises and I get my arches going, and I again share those in my other videos. And then I start to see such a change in me. And one of the first things I mentioned before were these toe spacers, right? These are the kind that I prefer. There are different kinds out there that are not good for you. So these are similar to what they call Correct Toes, is a specific brand, but you can get these, I think I got on eBay for 20 bucks. They're silicone material and they have large, medium, small, whatever to fit your spacing. And I had issues with my metatarsals, the bones up in your foot, cramping together, keeping my toes basically as I shoved them in the shoe. And this helped me. You can sleep in them, you can work out in them, you can run in them if you want, but wearing them really helps. And one of the things that I do daily, I don't do it as much as of late, but I should be doing it because it feels so good. If I sit down in the evening, that's the key, the sitting down, I will sit down and take a tennis ball, and again I show that in the video how to massage my foot, and then I take my fingers and go in between my toes like that, and then massage and pull and stretch, and it just feels so good. Then after that, while I rest for a bit, I stick in my spacers. Oftentimes I will just do the massage and the stretch, and I don't stick these in as much as I used to, but what a wonderful thing, because you wake up in the morning, you step out of bed and your feet feel just nimble and loose, and it's a glorious feeling. But let's say you just want to get started in this. You're definitely going to have to go in slow. I know a lady who was encouraged by seeing me out running barefoot, which I do. And she's, I'm going to say in her 60s. I think that's what she told me. But she wanted to try this, and she's into avid walking and health and had heard about this Barefoot Movement. And she went out full bore. She didn't prep her feet. She went on a walk with her grandchild in a stroller on the asphalt and got blisters. Okay, so I did not jump into this. I knew better than to do that. I would start, let's say, walking with my conventional shoes for part of the walk, and then like come home, switch to minimalist, and then carry on and go farther. So you just want to wean yourself off doing this, but nothing can go wrong though. Let me see if I can find an example. With a wide open toe box, your conventional shoe is pointy. This allows me to splay. This allows my toes to do what they need to do in order to take a correct step. So if you even want to just start there, again, in my previous blog post, I have lists of shoes from not only here in the US, but at Intercontinental, different places you can get. And I have experience with this. And I will say, sizing these suckers is definitely a chore. There is not a blank slate for all the companies to have the same sizing. And if you look at feet, not everybody's feet are the same. You've got different shapes from the way the toes are designed, from mountain to plateau, so on. You've got the volume of the foot, how high how much you take up of a shoe is part of it. So there's different companies that suit different people's feet better. And I love that. That's the way it's supposed to be. But not to make you, think that this is something that would be too far-fetched for you. Do know that it's doable. And there are many people that I've linked to, again, in the previous posts that give you resources to figure things out. And I and my children have all switched over. My kids play, like I've said before, they play varsity tennis, the top spot on the tennis team, and they're wearing a minimal shoe, the Zero shoe, which I have here. This is my running shoe, but I don't really run in them anymore. I run barefoot, but I do run in them occasionally, especially just if I don't feel like it, right? But again, we have a wide toe box. We have a Zero drop. There's no big cushy heel, and they're just more flexible. Can you do this to your shoe, right? They feel so good. And my shoe currently does not have an insole in it. If I do wear them, I don't wear the insole because I want as much ground feel as possible. But I can tell you that my balance has improved immensely because I train and strengthen just doing basic exercises, but even just walking the way I'm supposed to has increased my arch, which gives you the natural arch support spring that we're gifted with from birth to absorb the impact for our knees. All those things that they try to tell you are custom fit supports for your shoes, all these things that cost so much money. Repeatedly, I'm in a lot of barefoot groups on Facebook, and I have so many people say, I threw out my orthotics, I don't need them anymore. I was lied to. So definitely there is a new movement, and it's getting stronger and stronger. There are now companies producing soccer cleats with a wider toe box, at least, and zero drop. There are dance shoes, people who professional dance don't want to be crammed in, that they're creating for those that want to take care of their feet, because that's going to be with you the rest of your life. And if you know any athlete that can tell you that they've been crammed in, their feet are a mess. So it's time to start like you would your house. You have a good foundation, right? And build that up, and then you won't be having all these knee replacements and hip replacements and such, and then you feel better. I will say another thing that I had dealt with, and I share more about my blog post, is neuromas. And that might sound scary, but literally what it was, I'm trying to demonstrate with my hands, so I'll stick my foot up in here again. You have these spaces in between your metatarsals on your foot, and when I was walking in a conventional shoe, instead of rolling through my big toe ball, I would roll off my second and so on toes going this way. And what that did was cause a pinch, and I would get like a nerve issue. Well, when I go in summer, it would tend to go away, but when it came to winter, when I was wearing shoes more, it would come back. I don't know if it's just muscle training, muscle memory training, where I would just naturally wear a shoe and go that route. But anyway, I had developed one on my right foot that I had not had before, and I was really puzzled. What am I doing wrong? And so I did some research again. I did some exercises to release. But this baby right here was a godsend. It's the TMX Meta board by Blackboard. And it's a crazy tool. It's hard. Dog chewed a little bit, thanks to Lula. She was mad that I left and didn't take her with me. And it has like an advanced way or a easier way to start to massage your foot. And if you can see, it's like positioned to go in between your metatarsals. I'm not joking. I got this thing in the mail, and I was just pulled it out within 3 minutes. I thought, might have to learn how this thing works. It instantly relieved that neuroma I had between my toes. Gone, right? The pain was gone. I didn't feel a bulge walking like I was walking on something stuck in my skin. It literally, I could not believe it. Asked my kids, I was elated. This just popped that right out. And so I do use this regularly, not as much now as I used to, because I've working on my gait, and I'm trying to make sure I'm doing things as best I can without having a specific gait analysis, which you can have done. I hope to do that sometime. But I had an issue with a neuroma on my left foot for a long time. I always thought that bump was there because I tend to spin on that foot when I turn, in one stride and I stop and want to go back, I would spin on my left foot. Here, it's my muscles. Again, I tend to roll off my foot, not on the big ball, like you're supposed to be using your big toes really strong to go through. So ideally, when you're taking a step, here comes my foot again, you want to land here, and it's going to travel up through and up your big toe, right? So if you can see, I'm proud of this. This right here means I'm doing better. That wear and tear on my skin, it's getting built up, and I don't think my feet look horrible, right? But there is a thicker skin, and I have a padding now that is what I can use when I go out and do. I can walk on rocks, I can go hiking in the woods barefoot, and it's okay. Now that may not be your goal, and I understand that, but let's just say overall strengthening your feet is a great idea and a great way to be and a great way to age. And I want to add, for those of you that may be struggling like myself, I still have my bilateral vertigo, and that's why I'm still struggling with my gait. In my head, when I'm walking or running, everything feels like it's bouncing and jiggling, okay, because my vertigo keeps me swaying. So it's really hard for me, even when I'm doing my lifting, I do my workouts barefoot. I have to watch when I'm doing lunges or something. I do everything together, because when I do one at a time, it's putting extra strain that shouldn't be, because I'm teetering in my head anyway. And I can't say enough how thankful I am that I have been working on my feet so that I can stand and grip, and I'm not worried about falling over. Now I have fallen, which I have discussed in this blog post. That was because I tripped on a crack. And I mentioned what happened before, where I fell, and then a couple weeks later I fell off my bike, just coming to a stop, and fractured my thumb. And I show what I did with my shoe here from falling. I did my cute little owl embroidery on my barn owl wildling shoes. All right, we'll talk more about that in a second about these shoes. You can't see the full arrangement here, but I'll take a picture, put it in my post so I can discuss each one if you're interested in learning more about them, why I chose them, and so on. But there's different things out there that you're going to find work for you that may not work for me, and vice versa. But I just really, really want to encourage you to even consider just getting a shoe that has an open toe box. Because I know some of you maybe say you're on concrete all day long and you're like, how am I going to do that? Again, those that I know that have transitioned out and have worked into that, they're able to go no problem with that. And that includes some of my children and people in the groups and friends I know. It's growing. Funny story is my daughter just finished up her senior year in track season, and her coach, rightfully so, is believing that you need cushion, and would keep saying to the team, you know, you need to get these cushion shoes. And my daughter Elena would run in her zero shoes without her insoles in. And even when we were trying to find spikes that, because she did sprints, that she could run in that wouldn't pinch her toes, we were able to find a brand that had a little bit wider toe box, but there's still no spikes yet, so we're hoping for that one day. But when she would train and practice, she would be either running barefoot. She runs with me around the neighborhood and such. All my kids have, and also played her varsity tennis in those, again, minimalist shoes, and get lots of questions. So it's interesting to hear people talk. But back to the track thing, coach had said to her daughter, who wore a specific brand that's really big right now with the big heel, she was going over each person's training. She's like, Elena, you're doing great. Your form is great. And then went to her daughter and said, you need to get up on your toes. And she said, Mom, I can't in my specific brand. And Elena had just like, you can't get up on your toes when there's a giant wedge there to keep you from actually landing the way you should. So just some thought there. And another funny, like I said, easing into this, I try to each season, I have 4 seasons here in Ohio, so that's why you might say, oh, a lot of shoes. I honestly would like more, because with each season you want to have a couple pair, right? And winter is very long here. So when it comes with starting to get colder outside, I will start acclimating my body. Like, I won't wear as many layers as maybe somebody would, because I want to acclimate to the temperatures. And that way winter isn't so wicked, horrible. So I remember there was a day, I don't remember what month it was, because it could have been even November, December, but it was 32 degrees registering on the thing. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go for a barefoot run before they start salting the roads. And I didn't want the salt to burn my feet, and it's toxic. So headed out, but I didn't fail to look at what it feels like. It feels like temperature. And I thought, oh, this is a little more brisk. But I like to get it to where I can go out around 32 degrees and keep up with my training. And the guy that I pass often was walking his dog, and he saw me running, and I was feeling good, and he just went, oh. Apparently, I don't know. It was cold. I was probably the closest I got to probably shouldn't have done that, but I was fine. I came home, and then the other day, I was walking Lula, not running at this point, but we were just on a walk, and I hear footsteps coming up behind me running, and there was a guy, gray-haired guy, big guy running, and he comes up behind me and goes, where's your shoes? And I said, oh, she doesn't need any. And talking about Lula, and he's, no, I'm talking about you. And I'm like, well, I walk and run without shoes, not all the time, but a lot of the time, and that's the way I like it. And he's like, okay, good for you. And he kept going. That's good for you, because you're out and running, right? But definitely awesome conversations, and I love attending when my kids run a 5K or race and such, to look at people's feet, not to be weird, but what shoes are they wearing? And when I see a fellow barefooter, I'm like, hey, yeah, good job. And there's other people now on the track team that are switching over as well, and I hope they're doing it safely, because you can cause injury if you don't do this right. But let's talk shoes. Okay, very top, you cannot see, are my boots. So I'm going to pull down a couple of them and just talk about them. Hold on. Here I have a Vivo Barefoot boot. I won't get into the name specifically, but this one is my heavy duty bad boy. Okay. It's not as flexible as some shoes, but that I have, but it's more flexible than your standard conventional shoe. It's insulated, waterproof, gusseted tongue, because this was my track and tennis boot if I really needed to. Now, I will also say it's been about 2 years since I've worn socks. You might find that gross. I keep my feet clean, but when I wear natural fiber shoes, which a lot of these are wool and cotton, leather, and I don't need the socks, and I can still wiggle my toes around and do what I need to do. I haven't worn socks with these in the last year. I was kept plenty warm, sitting for hours and hours in a rainy track meet, okay? And again, Vivo is an overseas brand that a lot of people love. I will say though that across the board, not only me, but other people in the groups generally find Vivo tends to be a little bit narrow. This is an older boot style, but I recommend them if you wanted to start and try out. They're a little more on the expensive side, but I think what you get is what you pay for is what you get. You're getting a nice quality shoe. But that would be my big bad boy shoe. Then for more of a fun but still a good trail shoe, this is my Soft Star. Again, you can see I like to be around the 5mm tread. I think this is maybe 6. But again, this is very flexible. I can fold it up, and it's nice open toe box. It lets my ankle flex. That's a big one for me now. I'm finding I really don't like highly fitted shoes. Those are very rigid. That's why I probably wouldn't wear them. This would be more flex if I was hiking, but sometimes I just don't even want the ankle support. I actually want my ankle to do what it's supposed to do. And it's got some lugs on there for traction. The Vibram sole, very great for just shoes in general. All right. For a stylish leather boot, this is a Zach, Z-A-Q-Q. They are from Germany. I did get these. That's why I love these groups. Somebody bought them. They didn't fit them right, and they didn't want to spend the money shipping them back, so they sell them at a discounted rate for me. It has this nice feature with the zipper, so I can pull it off and on lace if I want to. Again, very, very flexible. Sometimes these shoes will have a nice deep looking tread, but really they're not that thick. So if you really don't want to look the minimalist look, you can do that. Again, these kind of run on the narrower side, and a little disappointed. I was saved up for a pair of boots that ordered, and they were narrow, and I had a really hard time with the customer service. So I don't know if it was a between country thing or what, but I thought, I don't know if I'm going to do Zach again unless I can actually try them on. And I do want to say Barefoot shoes, because they're still coming onto the market, are going to run a little pricey. However, almost all of these I have gotten from people who bought them and couldn't return, or didn't want to return, just trying to sell, or got the wrong size, or they were gifts for me. But I also sold my conventional shoes to help pay for this new lot. I will say without a doubt my favorites are Wildlings. I know they're unique. They've got different style to them. I love unique. That's fine with me. These are made of wool inside and out. I seriously can be in below, freezing temps without socks on, and my feet are warm and toasty. And I love the flex. Now, this can be a problem for some people, this barrier, because I'll show you actually on this one. I'm going to put on this product called Aquaseal. I left it in the packaging so you can see it, but I'm going to treat these. What you do is, if you get to where, you've had these for a long time, which I have, these are my Lula walking shoes, and I wear them to the store just to muck around in the winter. And so I would just put a little bit of Aquaseal there. It seals it right up. I've done it before with my old Nebulas. These are my wretched old Nebulas, but I wear them for cleaning, and I have a new pair over there that I wear for actually going out and walking a lot in those. They're just, both of these, they're just the most flexible shoes, most comfortable, most warm, and they come in all kinds of styles. This is the boots, but then I've got this casual little tiny cotton canvas, super comfortable in the summer. And I will say these are my favorite. I mentioned the Nebula. They are just a knit, stretchy material. Super comfy. That feels like I'm not wearing anything, which is the next best thing to being barefoot, so when I need something on. But again, you can get pricey on these, but you can find deals. And I've already done a blog post about Feel Grounds. I absolutely love their shoes as well. Again, this is the shoes that I got that I did a review on. They look like they're conventional. The sole is not that thick. It's like a faux thing there. It's actually thin and very flexible, wide toe box, right? Same brand, but a different style. I actually had a pair to match my youngest daughter. She just outgrew them. These are great. I love the pink. I love how fun they are. And that's the one fun thing about barefoot shoes is you can get all kinds of styles. Again, I have all the links to all these different places. I have, if you can't tell, I love shoes. And then those sandals that I just repaired, right? These are Soft Stars Geo sandals. I don't know if these are available anymore, but man, you can't get much flexible than that. I can splay, great toe box. My other favorite sandals for my everyday walking are Earth Runners. These come in different thicknesses as well. This is not the thinnest they have because the thinnest they have does not have this canvas footbed. It only has the rubber there. I like something a little grippy so when my feet get wet, if I go through a stream, I don't lose traction. But love my Earth Runners. They allow me to do whatever. These are my Jaree sandals, which do not have their laces on. I have shared them in a blog post before that I can show a link to. Comes with all kinds of laces. It's like a gladiator style, goes up your leg. I got several pairs of laces. They even sent me a free gift. I think I have 5 or 6 colors of laces because why not, right? Again, this was a gift that somebody said, hey, would you like to pick out some shoes? They know me, no problem. You have my heart. And the other favorite fun shoe are my Origos, a wonderful company that I've only actually tried their dress shoes, but how cute are these, right? Strappy, red patent leather. They're my fun shoes. Somebody just got a pair of the nude color and didn't fit well, so I was able to save half price by not buying it directly from Origo, but I was able to have something a little more neutral to go with my other outfits. And one more mention about Zero. These are a water shoe that have a little more depth to them with the lugs. I have not worn them yet. Got them brand new for $25 in one of my groups. Somebody either was gifted them, whatever, decided they didn't want them, and I thought, no problem. I could always use another pair of shoes, right? Okay, I'm not going to drone on about this. I just really wanted to touch base because there's so much more I want to share with you about this, but felt like I needed to catch up a bit on where I've been, what I'm doing, how it's going. Like I mentioned, I've seen improvements. One of the things, if you know that I'm an autism mom, not meaning that I'm autistic, but my children are, and one of the things that comes along with autism are bunions. And it's characteristic to that. And so I've been able to see major improvements in the slight bunions that my kids had, not all of them, but the ones that did. And all these exercises we're doing with the toe spacers, there's the shoes being wider. They were having ingrown toenails because of shoes that were the right size, but you know, the narrow toe box. And if they have the inclination to head to bunions, nobody wants to deal with that. But there's no need for bunions. There's no need for any of these things. Plantar fasciitis, you can deal with that. You can know how to strengthen and not have to go to the doctor and not do all these things that they're doing. And I'm not saying you don't need a doctor. Definitely you work with somebody, but maybe find somebody who's interested in learning more about this and helping you skip the orthotics and strengthen and put shoes right. Because I think we were created to be healthy, free moving, enjoying ourselves. I know that I feel 1,000 times better just from the ground up with everything from my neck all the way down. I have grinding issues because of stress and trauma I've had, and that has helped with that, with releasing and relieving. So yeah, again, I totally welcome any and all questions. I've tried to cover this. I feel like I've raced right through it because I didn't want to drag on, but I do believe that this is very important and it needs to get out there. So ask some questions and don't forget to sign up for my free newsletter. Until next time.